Good morning, guys. I was going to tell you guys, and I like to start each video with a joke, but I was going to tell you guys a joke about paper, but it's terrible. Good morning, guys. What's going on? I'm sitting in the truck this morning waiting on my mom to get out of the doctor's office, and just wanted to let you guys know I get a lot of questions, and it's from new people in business. Whether it's lawn, normally it isn't lawn service. I just say that it's normally not lawn service because the basis of the channel right now is pressure washing. So I get a lot of questions, and it's about equipment or whatever. And the equipment is a good thing to know about. I mean, you got to know what you're using. But one thing I want to talk to you guys about is customers. When you are starting out, and I'm going to say this goes for any business whatsoever, whether it's lawn service, whether it is pressure washing, mobile detailing, gutter cleaning. I mean, probably not so much gutter cleaning, but I know it would still happen. But in any business, you're going to have customers that you just don't want. Okay? I mean, it's just that simple. You don't want them. They're hard to deal with. They'll try to tell you how to do your job. They'll question everything you do. Why are you coming this day? When are you coming? What time will you be here? What are you going to be using? How are you going to do it? I've had some doozies. Okay, 8 years being in business, I've had a lot of doozies. Let's just say that. You'll have customers that you absolutely regret seeing, like on a, and this is really mainly towards the lawn service side, but it applies to all of it. People always say when you start out, you take what you can get, and that is true, because if you go mow somebody's yard and they drive you insane, people are still going to see you out at that yard. When they're driving by, they're going to see you did a good job. You just keep your cool, and then once you get a better customer, you can get rid of those. But I just say that there are so many customers that are out there. If you go to a customer's house, especially if you're mowing, if you go to their house a couple of times and it's always a question, it's always why this, why that. Well, the last guy did it this way, and just say, hey, I appreciate the thought. I appreciate, giving me the opportunity, but it isn't going to work out. And I know starting out that sucks, because the last thing you want to do is lose customers. You're building a business. You want to gain customers. But I've had so many. Okay. I used to have a guy that worked for me, and I guess I got kind of spoiled because we were doing a lot of foreclosure work, which nobody was there. Nobody lived at the property. So we went and did our work. We left, and that was it. We had to send our pictures in and all that. But we had this one customer, and he calls, and I way underpriced his yard. And I was like, this sucks every time and first off, I'm just going to tell you, if you're in the mowing business, and you go over in the spring and price a yard, and you blow through it and you go, oh man, this was great. It's not going to be great in the summer when the Dallas grass and the crabgrass starts growing, and when you go back every 2 weeks and you got to mow it 3 times to make it look good. Just keep that in mind when you're giving out prices. But anyway, I had this guy. He was a nice guy. Okay. He was a good-hearted guy, I guess. But every time we went to mow his yard, I knew it was going to be something else. He smoked a cigar, and as I'm out mowing and I'd smell that cigar, I knew he was either going to be stopping me or stopping the guy that worked for me to do something extra. It's like he just had to get that something extra when we were there. Oh, well, can you weed eat this spot here? Oh, can you weed eat this spot here? Oh, well, while you're here, can you just go mow this one section this one time? Always something like that. And I know that's the business that we're in, but when you go to these places and it's each time you go, they're asking for something extra, it's aggravating. Okay. I've had customers when I go to their house and, it had rained and they come outside and go, man, you're going to mow today when it's wet? Well, I do this for a living. I know how to make it look good. If I wasn't going to make it look good, then I could understand that. But, we've had a relationship now, customer relationship for some years now. I've never left your yard looking like crap. So why come out and question what I'm going to do? Had a guy once, matter of fact, it was the same guy. He'd come out, boy, it's awful wet today. You going to cut today? Yeah, I am. That's what I'm here in the yard sitting on the mower for. And then he'd go out and he'd look at the yard and go, boy, have you ever thought about them mulching blades? And I'm just thinking in my head, like, if you don't like the way it looks, just say so, and I can find you somebody else. I can give you a name to somebody else. If you don't like what I'm doing, just do that, And so those are the things that are aggravating. Now, after 8 years of being in business, I have some amazing customers. I still have a few that may be here or there, and I just listen to them because I know they're older and they're set in their ways, and I just put it out of sight, out of mind, I guess. I have a customer that it's always mow my grass like this, make sure you don't mow it wet, and make sure you mow it tall. And I'm like, okay, after mowing every week for the last 20 weeks, I realize that. I remember that. You don't have to remind me every time I come here that I need to mow it this way and this, not mow it like that. I mean, that's aggravating. She's a nice lady, and I guess she was just used to doing things her own, and she had guys that used to do it for her that didn't do what she wanted to do, so when she would ask them, they didn't do that. So I understand where she's coming from, but on my end, it's aggravating because I'm like, okay, I've did this 30 times this year. You don't need to remind me what to do this time. Well, I went to go wash a house once. And trust me, if you're in business, any kind of service business, you could have, and I've even thought about just sitting down, especially in the wintertime when, everything's slow and you kind of got a little bit more time. I thought about just having a session every day, sit down, kind of make it look like a podcast, I guess, and just sit down and talk about customers. Not that I'm trying to dog on them, but just talk about different experiences that we've had, because one of the worst experiences I ever had with a customer really blew my mind, and it made me doubt myself for a month, and it still bothered me. And I kept going, was I in the wrong? Was I not in the wrong? So I've thought really hard about sitting down and looking back over the last 8 years and being like, yeah, let me just talk about this. That may help somebody else out that's looking into getting into business or has been in business and just hasn't had that happen yet, and maybe how they could react or how they may do different. So, but I've went to a house before, and the ladies say, and I'm like, well, we use bleach when we wash because that's the way the manufacturer recommends to clean vinyl, yada yada. And they're like, oh, no, you can't use bleach. And I go, well, why not? Well, my brother said that it messes the vinyl up. So your brother has a pressure washing business? Well, no, but he just read online. Okay. Well, I do this for a living, and if you get on any vinyl manufacturer, they're going to, and look to see how they recommend cleaning it. They recommend using an algicide to kill the mildew, and that's what bleach is. Well, okay, so you can promise me that it's not going to fade my vinyl. No, it's not going to fade your vinyl. If your vinyl's oxidized because somebody's blasted it with pressure washer at one point in time, you'll see some runoff, but that isn't because of bleach. That's because somebody blasted it and ruined your vinyl, but that's not because of bleach. And so I've had that with pressure washing. I really can't think of any more examples with pressure washing, because normally you show up and people are just like, okay, do your thing when it's pressure washing. The bleach things came up more than once. And we always get, is it going to kill my plants or whatever? And, if you spray it wrong, it will. I got videos where I have killed plants. I mean, I'll just be honest with you. I've had brain farts and did stupid stuff and didn't do all my precautions like I should have. But lawn business more than anything, and what I was getting at with that is, I would like to just sit down and just talk about different experiences, maybe 2 or 3 times a week, just different experiences that I've experienced in being in a service business, from what you're going to deal with. You think, in my mind, when I started a service business, I'm going to call them and I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to be there tomorrow. I'm going to be there tomorrow to mow. And they're going to have an allotted place for the payment. And I'll just go to that allotted place when I'm done. I'll pick the payment up, or they'll bring me the payment out when I'm done. And I go about my business to the next job. Well, that's not how it goes all the time. Now, some of them it is. And some people may be listening and go, well, I only invoice and pay with cards. Well, if you do that, that's great. I've had some that it would take me an hour to mow the yard, and they would be at home the entire time and wait for me to be done after an hour and say, well, can you follow me to the bank so I can get you some money out of the ATM? No, I can't. I can't. I got other things to do. Or here is my debit card. I'll give you my PIN number so you know that you're going to get paid. Here's my debit card, so if you don't care to run down to the bank, and I'm serious, this is not an exaggeration or something I heard of. I had this happen. A girl wanted me to take her debit card to the bank and get my payment out and then bring her debit card back. So that's happened. And so I was like, no, I don't think so. You get the payment out, and then when you get it out, you let me know, and then I'll come by and pick it up. I've had issues where I've mowed, they know I'm coming, and they say it's in the mailbox. They tell me this the night before. Okay, payment will be in the mailbox. I go the next day, I mow, open the mailbox, no payment. You call them and they go, well, heck, I didn't know you was going to be here at this time. Well, I never specified a time, and you told me yesterday the payment was in the mailbox. So the way to get out of that is to prepay everybody, which most people, they may not have it to prepay, or they don't want to prepay. I have customers that I bill every week. I have had a history with them for 3 or 4 years, but instead of doing a prepayment, they still want to pay at each time I service. No matter what the service is, they want to, get paid then. And, if that's what they want to do, that's their prerogative. Some people would rather do that way. I have people that pay at the first of the month. I have people that I've trusted in business, and they pay when I'm done with the services at the end of the month. But let me know if you're still here at this far into the video at 13 minutes. Let me know if that's something you would want to hear, because I always enjoy listening to the other YouTubers talk about different experiences. And like I said, it's not just dogging on customers. It's just talking about crazy experiences that you may run into that you don't know you're going to run into, because you may be blinded in thinking it's just going to be peaches and cream, and it isn't. I got burned on a yard this year. I went out and serviced a yard and did a lot of stuff for a lady, and had like $120, $30 materials on a $450 job. And, I knew from the very first time I talked to her something was a little fishy, and I got burned on that one. That'd be a good story to tell. And like I said, I'm not trying to dog on anybody. It's just talking about different experiences, because I see different contractors, and I'm like, I always say in my life, everybody has a story to tell. Whether you got a business or not, everybody has a story to tell. And, I like it when I can get with other contractors and other people that have businesses, just so we can go back and forth. Because when I'm thinking one way and I talk to contractors and they're like, yeah, I've had that happen, that was horrible, it makes me think, okay, maybe I'm not the crazy one in this situation. Maybe I was right. So, and I've shared some of those on the videos before, but I just wanted to get on here and let you guys know that. Everything's not always going to be peaches and cream. Everything isn't going to be the way you want it to, and you're going to have to deal with a lot of different experiences. But the main thing is, if you go to a place and, you know, even if you're pressure washing, but if you go to a place and you have a customer that is never happy, they're never satisfied. You know, I mowed a yard one time, 2 times for a lady, and I could tell because each time it was like, well, don't mow over here, but mow over here. Well, if you don't care, can you spray here, but don't spray there? Well, can you weed eat this, but don't weed eat that? And yeah, I could say, well, I was just learning the yard and she was wanting it done a certain way, and she was, but she kept wanting to add, oh yeah, well, can you weed eat the flower bed this time? I want that kept down. Well, that wasn't part of what we talked about. Oh yeah, well, can you mow this, but don't mow that? Can you, I was just like, you know what, after 2 times, I realized that I'm just not going to be able to please this woman, and I don't want to deal with it every 2 weeks. So I sent her a nice message, told her I could find her somebody else. And if that's what she wanted to do, I didn't leave her high and dry. And I've fired customers before. I've let them go. And this year I've turned down a lot of work so I could keep pressure washing, because right now it's about 50-50 with pressure washing and mowing. And so I could be mowing a ton more than I am, but I would be getting in late every day. It'd be stressing more on my body. And it's just not worth it to me. And I could hire an employee, but then I'd have to add 10 or 15 more yards just to pay his salary, and I don't want to do that. So anyway, I just want to get on here and talk about customers. If you got some bad ones, you know, I know it's hard to do and hard to think about because you want to get rid of them or you want to get more customers, but if they're a hassle, just fire them, get rid of them. You know, there'll be another one. There'll be somebody else see you in that neighborhood and go, hey, he cut her yard. And more than likely, if people are around and know that they're neighbors, they'll go, man, he's having to deal with her or him, and he's there when he's supposed to be, and he mows and makes it look good. You know, maybe I should get him. So don't be afraid that the phone's not going to ring, because it will. So that's my time for the day. I'll catch you next time.